So apparently 80% of the viewers are men on this channel. So in order to please the viewers, I'm going to man up a bit on this channel. So before firing up Photoshop or doing anything else, get your beer and get your cigar. So hopefully you have your cigar and your beer and you're ready to fire up Photoshop. Now what we're going to be taking a look at today is how to use Photoshop to make a dissolving effect, a liquid dissolving effect. And if we take a look at these tutorials, none of them have beers or cigars. And the technique also quite similar on these tutorials. They are moving around, even with just move through all the liquify in order to get some kind of a pixel mesh and then remove it with some kind of brush. Now we're also going to be using some resources. We're going to use some milky splatters, and that milky splatter will be the guideline for the displacer, the good old displacer, which we are going to use instead of moving around and erase. So even though a liquefier might seem like the obvious choice to go with to get this liquid look, like if you take a look at this awesome piece of art created with the liquify tool, we are going to be using the displacer instead, just for the learning purpose, so we don't get stuck with the same technique as with these tutorials. So get your cigar, get your beer, open up Photoshop, and let's get started. I hope you're ready to create this. It's going to be nice. If you're lost, just go back in time. Alright, so create a new document, and I'm just going to pass in my model and make some space for her. So now I want you to navigate to your Milky Splash photo/docs. You can find those on the internet. Just type Milk Splash. Copy that and go back to your other document. And I'm just going to see if I like that and pass that in. Now I'm going to move it around, and this is not particularly really, important how we place it. You just have to look interesting in the way this splat behaves. And this is resource for later. And open up other things that you find interesting. So just zoom around, play a little bit. I'm just going to pass that here, find another one. I like maybe this, that one. Pass that in and then rotate it around to get something you like. Alright, I'm just going to resize it to get the details of the splat. So maybe we can get more in there instead of big splats. So resize that too, and you can see now I have room for another splat. So navigate back, find a new one, that one. I'm going to pass that in, Control G to transform it, rotate it as well, and just find just something you think look interesting. Select all layers with splatter on it, duplicate that. Oh, and apparently I can't hit it correctly. And it's, whoops, oh, that's a mistake. Duplicate the splash to a new document, because in that document we're going to save that as a PSD file. Alright, so I hope you got that saved. I'm just going to call it D1. Now go on to our old document and select the model or whatever you want to get distorted to, distort and displace that. Now the values here aren't really important. You just have to play around to get something you like. Play with horizontal scale, vertical scale, negative numbers, huge numbers. Just play around and stop until you get something you like. Now we are going to make it a bit more splashy, so it doesn't have to be perfect. So just stop. You'll see me playing around a little bit. Now I know that negative 200 and negative 200 works perfect for me, but you have to play along to get what you want. Now open up the PSD file that we already created before. That PSD file we just saved, to make that as a displacer for the model. I thought this looked good, so I press Ctrl F to do the displacement once again. Now I forgot the old model, so I'm just going to copy that and then undo and then pass that in, so we have the same thing again. And as you can see, I didn't quite cut off the hair, so we have some problems here. Now I'm just going to align it by negative it and press opacity of 50, so you can see through if it fits perfectly, and it does. Alright, so now I'm just going to unhide the splashy thing again. I'm just going to move around to get something interesting again. Now this time it's not really that important. We're just going to look at the shape only of these elements. So I'm just going to move it around to see what looks interesting with these splashy things. Control T, rotate it a bit and see where it fits. I'll place that down there. Now I'm going to select all the milky splatters by control clicking with holding down Shift and pressing Control G. Then I'm going to select the model and duplicate that with Control J, merge it to go down to one layer and then put that on top. Now this might look a little bit weird, but what we're going to do is take up the clone stamp tool on S, and then we're just going to move her around a bit. Instead of moving her, we're just going to clone her around actually, so we get some pixel mesh we can work with, we can distort again and really cut out to get this splashy effect. And yes, this is definitely weird. Now I'm just going to duplicate the folder with the splash, create a new layer, merge that down, so we're actually just going to rasterize that folder so you have the pixels of each in the same list instead of in the folder. Now I'm just going to control click on it in order to get it selected, and then I'm going to make a layer mask of that, so we will have the shape of these splashy things on her instead. Now I just duplicate the model and I'm about to rasterize that because we're going to displacer and we don't want the layer mask with that. Alright, so rasterize that, open up the filter, distort, displace, and do the same again. I'm just going to pick a new displacement map, just the same splatter moving around. I'm just going to move this splatter thing around as well and see where it fits, what I like. So I'm just going to play around here, and I'm going to grab the milk and move that around, and then when I want to delete something, control click on that, select the layer above, and then erase that, so we're kind of erasing with this splatty pattern. Alright, so I see stuff more I want to get deleted. The way I'm going to do that is taking the same layer again, moving it around, and at this spot the hair up here, I'm sorry, some of the head has been duplicated. I don't want that, so control click on that to select it, go on the layer on top, erase that, and we're going to erase, whoops, wrong layer, we're going to be erasing with this little splat thing. So down below I see some hard edges. I'm just going to be moving that around too, so I can erase again with the splat texture or splat shape, I guess. Flip that a little bit around. Alright, okay. Control click that. Nah, it doesn't quite fit. Warp that so it's up and touches the pixels. Control click on that, go on the layer we want to erase and erase that. And that's more I want to erase. So I'm just going to be erasing that as well. Alright, so far so good. I think I want some of the splatter down. As you can see, we're missing something. So instead of just doing the whole process again, I'm just going to be duplicating that. And then again, using the same splat as some kind of reference point to get the shape. Erase. Yep. So. Alright. There's going to be erasing parts I don't like. And erasing errors as well. I'm just for the look of it, I'm just going to get this dust and pass that in. And you can see I did some terrible job on the cutting of the hair. Sorry about that. Move that on top. You don't have to do this. Maybe it's just a good idea to do something extra in order to still the effect. So I guess we already created that, but I'm just going to work a little bit more on this. Resize that, and then actually I haven't even saved this yet, so let's just go ahead and do that. Control S, save that, and let's get back with the project. So I'm going to press Control L, and we're going to make this a bit more contrasty, so we'll set that on screen, and then I'm going to move it around, and then the lights of these particles of dust is going to help fade the liquefied splash just a little bit away. I'm just going to make it a little more contrasty and see what I like by pressing Control and then play around with the settings while the blend mode is on screen. Now I like that, but it's going to displace it just a little bit. Alright, I like that. Now I'm just going to pass in some smoke, some blue smoke, and put that on screen as well. And here comes some of the playing again. Just move the thing around so I like it, and then the color is wrong, so Control U, and play around with the hue value. And this is just to help out to sell the effect. And again, a lot of all is just adding some extra effect. It's all about adding in some different displaces. I had kind of a hard time to get the right displacement or splashy thing. So it's all about just doing over again and then try again. As you can see here, this is the smoke thing. I'm just playing around, trying to displace that as well. So now I'm just going to add in a color from her hair, just paint that in, just to get the looks of that little brown thing. And it's going to add it on the not on color but color dodge add, turn down the opacity on that, just to get this extra brown reddish feelings. And now we have finished. Now we have created a liquefied dissolvent effect. And after that, we took a look at how we can try to sell it with a bit more, with adding some dust and some smoke, some light streaks if you want, and how we can add in some extra effects to really help out to sell this liquefied dissolvent effect. Did you find this useful? Do you have any question? Feel free to write in the comment below. Otherwise, I hope you found this useful. Enjoy. Next time, we'll do blackjack and hookers.